We're in the attic of the King's House, the home of the Salisbury Museum. This building used to be a teacher training college right down until 1978. The room behind me here used to be the upper lecture hall where the students used to study. Now today we use it as a storeroom for our social history collection, so it contains an incredible variety of different things from Salisbury's past. So let's go in and explore. Now this room really illustrates how eclectic the museum's collections are, ranging from over the far side there, agricultural items, bits of cinema equipment, drainage pipes, through to on the left hand side here, items that are boxed up from the old museum, mainly models of archaeological sites that used to be on display at St Anne Street. We have another model here of Stonehenge, made by a man called Osmond, who was a stonemason in Salisbury in the 19th century. It's based on plans of Stonehenge produced by William Stukeley in the 18th century. This is another model. It's actually a vertical steam engine. It's an operating model made by a man called W.B. Sampson, who used to live in Love Lane in Salisbury. Now Sampson in the 19th century moved to Darlington, where he made this engine, and it won second prize in the Stockton-on-Tees Fine Art Industrial Exhibition in 1882. Absolutely amazing. Over there we have a microscope. That was actually an item that belonged to a man called Henry Brooks, who was the father of the artist Frank Brooks. And Frank Brooks, of course, produced the painting downstairs in the ceramics gallery. Mrs. Rideout, who was from Coombe Bissett, many visitors to the museum will be familiar with that painting. But under the cover here, I have a rather interesting model. As you can see, it is a model of one of the Trilothons at Stonehenge. And there's a couple of labels here that give a clue to what it is. The first one is a compliment slip from the British Broadcasting Corporation with their wonderful logo. And then we have a caption, because this used to be on display in the old museum in St Anne Street, and it says, "Model, suggesting method of erecting uprights and lintels at Stonehenge. Used in the television programme Buried Treasure, number 3, Stonehenge, 23rd of July, 1954. And in the small print it says, devised by Richard Atkinson and Paul Johnston, built by the Scenic Effects Department, BBC Television Service. And of course Richard Atkinson was famous for his excavations at Stonehenge in the 1950s. He was a very well-known archaeologist, a leading expert on Stonehenge. So this model was used to inform a television programme that Atkinson was involved with. So explore it further though, we're going to have to take it apart I think. So let's move some of these wooden frameworks out of the way. Be very careful, because of course this is an artefact in its own right. Got another little wooden framework there. This one here. And got a little lintel there that we'll move. And most importantly we have a little prehistoric man. You can see there. We'll pop him back so we can watch what's going on. If I can get him to stand up. There we go. And then there's a bit of soil that we can remove, which I'm going to do there. And if you look through there, there's the stratigraphy, the archaeology beneath the ground that's been painted on. To give you an idea of what would have been lurking beneath the surface. And then we've got the stone itself, one of the sarsen stones here, we can actually remove it. If you look there on the top, you can see there were mortise and tenon joints holding the stones together. This is actually based on what was found at Stonehenge. You can still see it there today. So that's one of the tenons that held the lintel in place, or helped to hold the lintel in place, which of course is the piece over here on my left. So, this shows you how the stones were erected. So this must have been pulled into position, perhaps on log rollers. It would have been shaped at the site itself. The hole was dug out, perhaps using antler picks. It would have taken a huge number of hours to do all of this work. Then this would have been rolled in position, tipped down like that. And then I think, and of course the key issue here is that this is all, for me, supposition, because there's no instructions on how this model actually worked. Unravel all of that. And then we've got this here. Now I think that must have stood in the ground something like that. And then that goes over there like that. Now I'm going to be really careful with this. I'm not going to do it exactly how it would have done. I imagine that this end here would have been pulled by a huge number of people, and then that would have gone something like that. So that was how the stones were poured into place in the ground. And then that all would have been detached. Be careful not to break that. And then the soil would have been packed in again on this side. Now, of course, they didn't only just use soil, but they used sarsen blocks as well. They had millstones, which were used to shape the stones at Stonehenge. They were then recycled, reused there as packing stones to hold the stones in place. So I can't actually show you that. We don't have any little models of those. So we've got the uprights in place. And then the key question is, how was this put into place, this lintel with its mortise holes in? Well, one possibility, there were numerous possibilities, but one was that they built a wooden structure, which of course there's very little evidence of this today. All this material would have rotted away around the stones, the uprights. So we've got one there. And then another one would have been built on this side here. There we go. And then this lintel would have been pulled up this slope. I'm guessing that the ropes here, and I'm not going to do this because it's way too fragile, would have pulled it up the slope there, all the way up there, right up onto there, and then across here and into place there. Now, you have to appreciate that that would have taken a huge amount of effort, but also the planning and the craftsmanship to actually work out exactly where the holes should go so it would sit together properly. Now hopefully this will stay in place. I'm just going to move that there. It's very fragile. That there. So there we go. As you can see, we have a Trilothon. So this is brilliant. We've got a prop from the 1950s. It's something that's getting on for nearly 70 years old, that was used to demonstrate how the stones were erected at Stonehenge, and we can actually use it today in 2020 to do exactly the same thing.